morning. I'm Sharon from Blue Moon Gardens.
And I'm Mary from Blue Moon Gardens.
And we got a nice soupy, foggy morning going on in the midst of, what are we up to?
October.
October 21st. And it's been kind of warm and dry lately.
Yeah, very dry.
But, you know, it's the way it is in Texas.
Yep.
Yes. So we're in the midst of fall, and we've gotten in a lot of the fall color, like the pansies and dianthus and all the usual ornamental cabbage and kale and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, everybody's into doing their fall change out for winter color. But one of the things we're always hunting for at this time of year is things that make our pots look a little more beefy, I guess you could say. And so we like to use a lot of evergreen things. So we thought we'd just show you an assortment of the kinds of things we look at to make our pots interesting and give them more height, for one thing.
Well, and I like them because they're permanent. You don't have to change
lot of them
out.
are,
Yeah,
yes.
A lot of these things we're going to show you today are evergreen, and they'll last for years and years. And I like that. I don't like having to replant my pots every single year.
I don't mind planting parts of my pots, but I don't like to have to dismantle the whole thing and, you know, put in fresh soil every year. And
especially because I have some giant pots.
Right.
So I like to have some permanent things in there, and then little pockets of spaces where I can put color around them.
I've kind of decided now, since I got carried away this spring with more pots at my house, that I'm going to have this one pot as my complete change out, and then the rest of them are my more permanent looks in my pot.
Yeah, see, I don't have that many pots, but I have something permanent in every one of them.
Yeah, I love it.
Because I don't like to do all that.
I love it.
Yeah, a couple of decades ago, well, for the past couple of decades, because we've been in this business longer.
For decades.
That's right. The look was to have your containers just full and, you know, overflowing and color, and I mean, just lots of stuff in there. Lots of things going on.
Lots of variety of stuff, too.
Yes. So, you know, they had the thriller, filler, spiller combo, which was, you know, your thriller was something big and spectacular in the center, and then you had something around it to fill in, and then you had something hanging out the edge. Yeah, drapey at the edge. And, you know, it's a good look, but man, it's hard to maintain, especially here in Texas where we have to water so much in the summer.
And half the time, one of those items bites the dust.
Or
looks
something else
awful.
out.
Yeah.
It's a lot of maintenance.
It's a lot of work
to keep those looking good. So now the more modern look is to have one really spectacular plant in a pot, in a spectacular pot. Yes, a stunning pot, or maybe two things, and that's all. To have it a lot more simple, and it's a better look, I think.
I think so too.
And it's easier to maintain.
It is easier to maintain.
Yeah. So we're going to show you some things today that we like to put in our pots this time of year.
Okay, so I'll start with the more shrubby things because really you can use any kind of a shrub in a container and they'll last quite a long time. I mean, some things grow fast and obviously you have to replace them more often, but a lot of shrubs, it kind of slows them down a little bit to be in the pots anyway. So you can get many years out of shrubs in pots, I think. Yes.
Many.
And one of the tricks that I find is when something gets requires too much water in the pot, maybe it's not outgrown it size wise, but it's drinking too much, I'll just tip the pot over and cut off part of the root, like just chop the whole bottom of the root off, put fresh soil in the pot and slide it back in, and then I got another couple years to go on that.
And that works well. And plus it freshens up your soil too, which is a good thing.
It does. And you know how soil sinks in the pot, so you get a little lift there too on your soil. So that works really nicely. So anyway, this is called an Osmanthus goshiki. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a really variegated, speckly looking plant, and it grows really slow. It needs morning sun, afternoon shade, really, in our climate, but I think it's spectacular looking.
Holly is
False holly, yes.
Because it looks like a holly.
Does have those kind of, not as sharp as a real holly, but pointy leaves like that.
Pretty sharp.
Okay, what else have I got for a shrubby thing? You've got a couple of shrubs.
I do. You have a rosemary.
I have a rosemary.
A shrubby thing.
Well, that's an herby thing.
Well, that's true.
But I'll talk rosemary. Okay, so rosemary. Don't forget rosemary because it's evergreen all year and takes the sun. And there's trailing kinds and upright kinds, and there's the one called Chef's Choice, which is more compact upright. So lots of variety depending on the size of the pot that you have. And of course, it smells fabulous. fabulous.
Oh, it does. And it's very drought tolerant too, which is nice.
Right. Okay, show your shrubs. Let's
Okay.
do shrubs. We got some
So
order
Sharon
going here.
kind of had sunny things and I have more shady things. So this is a camellia, which will eventually get very big. See, it's blooming now. So camellias, I love them because they're winter and early spring bloomers when you don't have a lot else blooming in your garden. And they have really glossy green leaves, which I love. So this is a very upright variety. This is Setsugeka, isn't it?
I think so, but
Yeah.
it's a Camellia sasanqua,
Sasanqua, yeah.
which has the smaller, darker green leaves, which I think makes a really pretty landscape
Betty.
plant. And the Camellia japonicas are the big leafed, really big flowered ones, and these have more smaller flowers on the sasanquas.
So they actually go in a pot a little better, but this will stay in a good sized pot for quite a few years before it outgrows it, and then I just take it out and put it in my landscape. But I just think they're attractive year round, and they don't take a lot of sun. So I don't have a lot of sun at my house, so this works really well for me. And you can give it a little trim if you need to. You know, as time goes by and it gets a little wild for your pot, you just trim
Make
it
it
out.
bushy.
Yeah, and they look really nice that way. Love. I have to stand up for this one.
Right.
This is a plum yew, so it's not a true yew, it's a false yew. But
Cephalotaxis.
yes, but this one is an upright variety. There are some that are weeping, and they're really attractive container plants too. But I love this one. It grows really upright. Now I have 2 of these in a pair of pots at the entrance to my house, and they've been in those pots for 12 years. And they're getting really, wide and pretty tall, and I just trim them once, sometimes twice a year, but usually not that often. And they look fabulous, and they are no care. So I have 1 of these and variegated ivy growing out the edge.
It looks good.
And it looks great, yeah. And they're very little care. I love that. And I don't have to water them too often either. So that's another big plus in Texas.
Right.
That's all I have for
Okay,
shrubs.
let's do grassy things next. Okay, so
Another pot.
I got it up here with no pot. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Well, we'll just ignore that. Okay, this is Carex, what? Red Rooster?
Yes, this one's Red Rooster.
Okay, so which is an upright Carex, or a little tall for a Carex compared to some of the varieties. Did you bring the
I
other?
did.
Mary
I
brought
have
another Carex up here.
So this is, there's a whole bunch of these Evercolor varieties, and they're all really
This is
attractive.
what? Everlight?
Everlight.
Green
So,
and white.
Yeah, so they have some that have gold variation in the foliage, and then there's one that's solid chartreuse.
I love that.
Yeah, but they all have this, of that variety, they all have this weeping.
Yeah, a lot of
habit.
them grow that way where they're kind of moundy and the foliage hangs, whereas this one is more upright for a nice
So do you think this
center for
can
a pot.
stand full sun in Texas?
I do.
Okay.
As long as you water them.
Yeah.
But
they take quite a bit of shade too,
They do,
so that's
yeah.
nice. But they do take regular water.
Yeah. I mean, especially in the summer, you have to water if you put them in the sun.
Especially here.
Right. So love the Carex grasses.
And this is a chorus. Is this a sedge?
A sedge.
A sedge.
No.
So,
It's.
I
I
know.
always get that confused.
I don't know. Some kind of grass.
That's funny. Of
It is.
course.
Yeah, but I love the color of this. It adds a really bright spot to your pot, and it has a really kind of upright yet graceful habit.
It is a grass that wants more moisture than the Carex does.
Yeah, so it can do in a moist spot.
Right.
even.
So if you even have a boggy spot, you can grow a chorus, whereas Carex grows in a dry spot. But both of them work great in containers.
Yeah, they make great container pots.
And then I brought up blue fescue. That one's kind of muddy on that side, but anyway, blue fescue is nice. Not very tall, but stays green all winter and gives you that nice blue color. So this one is called Beyond Blue, but there's many varieties of blue fescue that work great. And this is not a true grass, but it kind of looks grassy. This is a Dianella called Casa Blue, and it gets about 18,
So what
20
are these called?
inches tall.
Flax lily?
Flax lily, because they do have this what do you call it?
Bloom, I don't know what you call it. Inflorescence.
Yeah, in the springtime. It's not very stunning. You're not really growing it for the flower. But I love this. I have this in my flower bed at home, and it's green all winter, and I like the
Those are
look of
nice
it.
colors together.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I got in grasses, I believe.
So when you're working in pots, it's really nice to, well, even in gardens too, it's nice to have different kinds of texture. But it's especially important in a pot because you want things to show each other off. So, you know, texture is, you know, shape and form and roughness and things like that. So you'll notice a lot of the things we're showing you have different kinds of texture.
Okay, so these are euphorbias, which this is Ascot Rainbow and this is Galaxy Glow, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and they stay green all winter, so they give you some oomph. But what's really interesting about them too is in the springtime they get these umbels of bracts. I don't know what you call it. Yes, they're in the same family actually as the poinsettia, which is very fascinating.
It is.
But they look kind of like satellites or flying saucers.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the most interesting things, and they get a lot of attention in the spring. And the blooms last for months when they come on them.
They do.
You know, so they're very fascinating plants, and we love using those a lot.
And these get tinges of different color in the winter, which, you know, gives you a nice attractive look.
Right. So Hucheras, we've used those a lot for years. This one is Peach Flambe, and they come in different colors, chartreuse, maroons, and kind of peachy colors. And this one's kind of corally, I don't know. But anyway, they're very interesting. And they also do bloom in the springtime.
Nice texture and color on these in a pot.
Now, I will say the one thing about some of these plants, like the Hucheras, they're considered a shade plant in reality. But the great thing about winter in Texas is you can use any plants in the winter in the sun if you want to. But you just need to know that when it starts to warm up in the spring and it starts getting hot, they need to be moved to their proper location. So it's kind of interesting because you can mix everything together in the wintertime, whereas you can't in the summertime, which is kind of fun, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know,
yeah, it gives you a lot more choices.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Okay, texture.
Okay, so that's kind of filler kind of stuff. Yeah, here we go. This is an evergreen fern. Is this tassel fern?
That's tassel.
Sorry, I'm doing
Love
your thing.
tassel.
I do too. It's beautiful. So a customer came the other day and said she saw a full-grown one that was 2 feet tall,
Wow.
which surprised me. But she said they have a really nice growth habit. We always sell them before they get too big, so we've never seen it full-grown.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful, shiny,
Heavy
dark
texture.
green. Yeah, heavy texture.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
That's certainly texture.
Hellebores, Lenten Rose.
Kind of leathery leaves.
Very
on those.
leathery. And this one has really big leaves. A lot of them aren't quite that big. But this is an evergreen plant everywhere around the United States, I think. That's one nice thing about this is it'll grow all over the United States.
Blooms in the winter.
Which is really
Deer
fine.
tolerant, which
Yeah.
is a plus.
And the flowers last for months, literally months and months, which is incredible.
And
I think.
they're not very greedy with water either.
They're not.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
If you don't water a lot or you have
So that is a great plant for a bed or a pot.
a juga, yeah.
Yeah. Ajugas don't usually bloom this time of year in the fall. It's usually a spring bloomer, but these have started, which is so you can see the nice contrast in color. And I like these because they have, you know, this ruffly leaf, so that's good texture and it's great. This one's called Black Scallop. It's one of our favorites.
love
It's a
that.
beautiful ajuga.
It is.
And it's got a big flower on it when it blooms too. So I'm assuming that's going to bloom again in the spring.
Oh yeah,
too.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm down to my drapey things.
okay. I guess I'll show you. I forgot this is a
Oh, you did have another shrub.
another shrub, which is the lemon cypress, which is often used at the holidays for its cone shape.
Makes a cute centerpiece.
Very cute. So anyway, but I really like that in a pot because it's very bright all the time. Morning sun, afternoon shade is really ideal on it. But I think those are really cute. Slow growing, so they stay in pots for
A long time.
years and years. And then of course herbs, evergreen herbs, lavender, thyme, along with the rosemary. What else is green in the winter?
Oregano, usually, yeah.
So that can make a drape out of a pot. So any of these kinds of herbs are fabulous for winter color also.
And then we use ground covers in our pots as a drapey thing. This is a Asian jasmine, which is really tough in Texas. It's a great ground cover in Texas. But this variety is called Summer Sunset. No, this is snow and summer.
Snow and summer.
Yeah, snow and summer. So these top leaves, the new leaves, get really pale and white like this one, and then they get tinges of pink. So from afar, it actually looks like flowers.
It
But
does.
it's just the color of the foliage. And they are tough, and they will last for years and years.
And you know, even, I'll say this again, boxwood is my favorite shrub. But,
and you didn't even bring any.
but this ground cover, Asian jasmine of any sort in a pot, is my favorite all-time pot of all time. Is that just
A
bizarre?
boxwood and then Asian jasmine.
No boxwood in the pot, separate.
Oh, okay.
Just Asian jasmine in a pot. I mean, I had one for 20 years, a big giant pot of Asian jasmine for 20 years. I mean, it was spectacular all year long. I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like the easiest thing in the world. So I love these new ones. Yeah.
So it looks great if you have a really tall pot and have that hanging over the edge. That's a nice look. Or a short squatty pot where it just fills in the top and makes a nice carpet. This is Creeping Jenny. We call it moneywort. It's got nice little round leaves. This one is golden, so it's got this beautiful gold color. And then it comes in a really nice bright green, too. They're supposed to bloom little white flowers, but I've
Yellow
hardly
flowers.
ever seen it.
Yellow flowers.
Oh, is it yellow,
Yellow
flowers? Well,
flowers.
see, I've never
You don't
even
see
seen
them.
them.
Yeah. Not in our climate, they
No,
don't.
they don't do that. But they're just so attractive.
They're just so useful.
Yeah, you can grow these in a lot of shade, although this one doesn't keep its color quite as well if it has too much shade. Or you can grow them in a lot of sun if you water them enough.
Right.
So that is
Very
that
versatile.
is a very beautiful plant. And I like to put this next to a juga. It's a great,
Oh, yeah.
it's a great combo.
We'll just show you what a
There you
great,
go.
what a great look.
Yeah, look, isn't that
Love
beautiful?
that.
Yeah, and it goes with a lot of things. Like I put it in there with a course and something else. Look, here, we'll just put together a pot
Really,
for you.
here's-
There you go. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, it's fun to do this. So.
Anyway, we like this time of year just trying to come up with new and clever things to use and make it fun and interesting for the winter.
Yeah, and don't forget your pots need more fertilizer than things in the ground. Just because the more you water, the nutrients leach out. So they look a lot better if you fertilize.
Yeah, I'm always amazed.
Yeah,
Even after all these years, what fertilizer will do.
And I like to use granular fertilizers on mine because I think it helps feed the soil. So earthworm castings is a good one.
Earthworm castings is great because if you have your pots on your patio, especially, it has no fragrance. We kind of tend towards the manure-based fertilizers that are natural.
Yeah, and if you have dogs, they love going after that.
But they don't really go after I don't think
They
the
don't. I
earthworm.
don't think they
yeah,
can
because
smell
there's
it as
no
much.
smell, right.
Right.
So it's great to use. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very fine, so it's easy to put out, and then it
Disappears
does
quickly. Yeah.
So that's nice.
So anyway, come have fun. Winter's fun to, you know.
It is. I love it that we live in a climate where we can garden even in the winter.
And it's easier gardening compared to summer, which is really fine. You know, the fact that you don't have to expend as much energy.
You don't have to water
and
every
as much
day.
time, right, in the winter as you do in the summertime. So that makes it really great too.
Well, thanks. We'll see you again.
Thank you.